Hey folks, Will Owen here with JetBoatPilot.com. On today's video, we're going to show you an installation video, basically the procedure to install our new version of the BRP thrust vector. The thrust vector specifically designed to fit on BRP platforms. So those of you guys with Sea-Doo boats, Glastron, Chaparral, Scarab, this video is for you. The basic installation principle or method is about the same, but we've changed the actuator and the way this unit is assembled. So I wanted to show that for you. Also, we're no longer shipping these pre-assembled. It'll be the responsibility of the installer to assemble this unit. It takes probably 5 minutes, really simple to do. So we wanted to also show that in this video today as well. What you'll be working with when you're ready to install on your boat is a finished product that looks like this. It will start out looking like what you see here. Before I get into all of those details, a couple of housekeeping items. First thing you want to do is turn your battery off on your boat. You want to, before you turn the battery off, move your reverse bucket to the up position. For those of you guys that have the intelligent throttle, move the reverse bucket to the up position. Also, in this situation, because we didn't have access, we just took the nut and the bolt off here, the end of the cable, so we could move the gate as we needed. But anyway, get the gate out of the way. It's important to do that for the installation. And just make sure that the boat is safe so that you can get back here and work. We'd also recommend you do this over land, not over water. So for those of you guys that decide to do that, best of luck to you if you drop something. So this process is going to be the same for twin engines or single engine models, going back to about 2005. So any of those older Sea-Doo boats, back into the 2005 range, all the way up to the newest 2021s. This video should be the same. The installation procedure for the single and the twin is about the same, with the difference of there being a slightly different piece of sheet metal for the bottom brackets. Other than that, the installation procedure is pretty close to the same. We'll talk about that when we get into the process. But let's jump right into your tools list of what you're going to need for the install. We use a pair of vice grip pliers, like you see here, just like a needle nose pair. Screwdriver with apexes. You're going to need a Phillips head. You're going to need a just a regular flathead screwdriver. One of larger if you can find one. And also, this is a 5/32 Allen, so you're going to need one of those as well. We have a standard 1/4 inch socket ratchet with an extension. We have a 10 millimeter socket, and we also have a 7/16 socket. Those should be the tools that you'll need. We're going to provide with the kit a 1/8 inch Allen wrench, as well as some Loctite, and the rest of the parts that you see. You're going to see a clamp, which is this, we refer to this as the clamp. You'll have a set of fins left and right. You're going to have mount hardware for the fins to hold them to the clamp, as well as some bracketry to hold it to the boat. And finally, your actuator and screws and hardware there. So let's jump right into the assembly. First thing we want to do is to take our clamp. We're going to put on the left side fin first. So what I want to do is take my clamp, put the left side fin on over this boss, just like this. You're going to see it come to rest like that. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to take this little Delrin sleeve here. I'm going to slide this over on top of the fin like this. We're now going to take the spring for this would be left side or port side. We're going to make sure it's the right spring. The way to do that is by putting the spring into the hole, the little bend. See the little leg there? It's got the 90-degree bend. Put that spring leg into the hole, and what you're looking for is that the other leg is going to be pointing about 90 degrees from the slot on the end. This is where you're going to load the tension. So now we're going to take that, we're going to rotate it around so that it catches there in that slot. So now we have preloaded tension on the spring. We're now going to take the square nut that comes with the kit. It's going to slide into the pocket on the back side there. We're going to take our Loctite. We're going to put a nice healthy dose of blue thread locker. You can use red if you got it, but blue is what we're going to send with the kit. And we're going to put the bolt with the washer down the hole. And now we're going to take finger tight to start with. We're going to take our screwdriver. We're going to tighten this as tight as we can torque it down. You don't have to worry yourself with how much pressure. Just tighten it as much as you can. It's going to freely pivot on that boss. Good spring pressure there. Repeat the same steps on the opposite side. Put the fin on. Now going to place the Delrin sleeve over and the spring into the spring hole. Notice that it's facing about 90 degrees opposite of that indexing slot there. If you get the wrong spring, it's not going to line up, it's not going to work. That's happened before. We just packaged it wrong, but it doesn't happen often. But anyway, load that into the slot like that. Take your square nut. It's going to go in the slot on the back side. Square nut. We're going to put blue Loctite, a really healthy dose of blue Loctite on the end. Only the last 4 or 5 threads is all you need to coat. Pass this through, finger tight, and then we're going to take the Phillips head and screw it in place. Again, you can torque that nice and tight. Not going to hurt anything. All right, now we're going to put our top bracket in place. You're going to find your screw that has the little knurled fastener on the end of it here. Take that off. We're going to pass the bolt through the front side of the clamp. We're going to put the bracket on the back side. And now we're going to just put the threaded end first, leave the knurls to the back side like this. And just loose like that is fine for now. We don't need to really tighten it down just yet. Just leave it loose because we have to have a little bit of free play to get it over the bolt in a moment. Same thing at the bottom. We're going to take this twin engine bracket here. It's going to be put in place over these 2 lower holes here. We're going to take the bolts that are assembled with the nylocks. We're going to take the bolt and pass it through the front. It's going to pass through the bracket like so. And then this nut here, just very loosely. Same thing, other side, take the nut off, pass it through the front, put the bracket in place and pass the bolt through, and then very loosely add the nut. All right. Last thing we're going to do here before we start our installation, we're going to take the actuator. It's going to be installed with this connecting beam on the top and these 2 little tabs at the bottom. It'll go into the pockets that you see on the fin. You see those pockets there? You can see how I have it lined up now, like that. All right, we're going to take the barrel fasteners that come with your kit. It's going to pass through the inside. And then we're going to take a little bit of Loctite, add that to the screws that go into the barrel fasteners. We're going to thread this in, just loose for now, just until you get all 4 of them started. We'll tighten them all with a wrench in just a moment. We'll do the opposite side. Notice how we've got it on the opposite side here. It'll fit nicely in that pocket. Just have to line it up in that pocket like that. Barrel fastener is going to go inside like that. Again, we're going to put some Loctite on a screw here. This is a 1024 by 5/32 in case you're looking for a replacement part at some point. This little short guy here. Finger tight. All right, repeat the same steps. We're going to put the barrel fastener in the top hole now. Let's see how it kind of lines up there. Dab of Loctite. Now this is a beta test unit that's going out practically production, but because it doesn't have the logo on it and we're still early on in our production run, you don't see the thrust factor logo on the side here. You'll see that in later models. Basically the same part, we're just getting these out in early runs for some of the people that are looking to help us with some early testing. People that are getting their product today would be those that are kind of helping us with the beta program. They'll get a revised version if there are any changes in the future. If there are no changes, obviously no need to send out revised versions, but sometimes there are changes that are necessary. Last one here, we're going to put in the screw on the top side here, just finger tight. All right. Now, one of the things I've learned over the years is that the flathead screwdriver here really doesn't work well if you've got a long-handled driver like this. So what I'll do is I'll just take it and use my hand, put the slot into the barrel fastener, and then I'll use the 1/8 inch Allen wrench to tighten from the outside. So you're going to see it like this. Or if you want to, what you can also do is use a 1/4 inch socket, put the apex inside that. It's much easier to hold it still in a tight space. So we'll take our driver, place it on the inside like so, and then our Allen wrench on the outside. And you can torque that down until you feel like the bolt head is crushing that polymer fin. We don't want to pull it all the way through and over tighten it, but just crush the plastic a little bit there so that you feel like you got a good pinch. Same thing here, we're going to do the next location. All right, the last two pieces we're going to install, or last two screws we're going to install, hold this connecting rod together. We call this a tie rod. This basically regulates distance between the fins so they don't toe in. We'll pass, first put some Loctite on. I'm going to pass that through this outside hole here, and it's going to come in. And the opposite side, we'll do the same thing. And you will get 2 1/8 inch Allen wrenches with your kit, because this particular step does require you to have 2 wrenches to spin these on at the same time. Take our second Allen wrench to hold this side steady while we spin the other into place. Don't have to over torque that. Again, don't pull the bolt head all the way through. Just make sure it's nice and tight and that this bar is not spinning. With Loctite in place, it's not going to spin itself loose. All right, so that is a completed assembly. Now it's ready to go on the boat. Top side, bottom side. In preparation for the assembly on the boat, again, we've got the reverse buckets up out of the way. First thing we want to do is to take our wrench, our socket wrench. We're going to grab the 10mm. On a twin engine, this is the first step. On a single engine, you won't have this step. You'll skip through this. On a twin engine, we're going to take this bottom bolt here on the reverse buckets, and we're going to remove this bottom bolt. It's what's going to connect the nozzle on the port to the starboard. Now this is going to go back in place in just a moment, but we have to tie into this bracket here. So pulling this off, notice it's got a washer there. So we're going to use that again. What we'll do is we'll take this bracket that we just assembled. Just to make this easy, I'm going to take this bracket off. That's why I left this loose, just to show you how it went together. This bottom hole here, you're going to choose the location that is farthest away from the tip. The bolt, before we put it back on, we're going to put a dab or two of Loctite on it. Medium is good in this scenario because you can get it back off. There you go. We're going to thread this back in place in the same hole that it just came out of. There is that hole that's nearest to the tip. All right. Once that's in place, we'll tighten it back down. Don't over muscle this. This is an aluminum housing. You don't want to over torque it. Just nice and snug there's fine. All right. Now we're going to take this top bracket here. Notice how it's got a little key slot design. Bring the camera in tight. I want you to see this bolt up here. There's a bolt right on top of the nozzle. Can you see that with the camera? That bolt is going to get this key slotted feature. It's going to slide over on top of that bolt. But before we do that, I want to show you another feature. See on the bottom edge of this clamp here, there's a little notch. That notch is designed to index right on this little notch here. So when we slide this on, that notch is going to align there, and this key slot is going to go over the back side of that bolt. So you don't want to take the bolt off. Disconnect it, which I've seen this also be necessary. Slide the clamp, the bracket over like this. It's going to go underneath the washer. Can you see that? See how it's situated under the washer? And now we'll take it, press it back in place like we did before. And we'll take the and pass it back onto the bolt. This way, it may be a little easier for you to get this to all come together. All right, so now I've got the top strap in place. It is cinched up fairly tight. I'll do the rest of it about with a wrench, but finger tight's good. Bottom side, bring the camera around the front here. We're going to take these stainless bolts here. These are 1/4-20s. I'm going to pass through the front, both sides here. It's going to pass through the bracket on the back. We bring the camera around the back side. And we're going to take this nylock nut. It's going to go on the back side right here. And we're going to just thread that on, finger tight to start. We'll get the wrench on it in just a minute. Same thing with the other nylock on the opposite side. It's going to thread on like you see here. All right, now we have the 5/32 Allen wrench. It's going to go into the front here. That's what we're going to use to tighten down the bolt. And then our wrench is going to be a 7/16 on those nuts there on the back side. And if I'm not mistaken, if memory serves me correctly, I do need this extension. So I'm going to try to put this in place. There we go. You'll feel it bite when it's there. Torque it down snug. Not overly tight, but just enough to where you know that it's not coming off. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Maybe easier to turn the nozzle over the opposite direction when you do the opposite side. All right, got my wrench in place now. All right, so the bottom two are in place tight now. We're going to take the top bracket now. This addendum to the thrust vector installation procedure is going to basically show you the replacement part that we've added to the kit to get rid of the knurled fastener that attaches near the top of the clamp. In favor of something simpler and easier to install, we've gotten rid of, if you bring the camera in real tight here, this knurled fastener. For those of you that have older style thrust vectors, you'll probably have something like this that attaches the top strap here to the clamp. But because it's much easier to use a square nut, we've actually gone to a square nut now. If you notice here, I'll pull the sticker off. There's a square nut now. The square nut is basically self-indexing, so when I get ready to tighten this down using the 5/32 Allen wrench, we're able to spin it, and it holds itself still as we tighten we don't have to get a wrench on the back side. So really favorable. Obviously, when you're doing this particular step, you want to make sure that you liberally coat the bolt in the blue Loctite supplied with the kit. Make sure you get a nice strong bond. But that's going to be the addendum here. We're replacing the knurled fastener with the square nut. This is what's holding the face of the clamp to the face of the nozzle. So it gives you a nice firm grip. Let me double sure that everything feels nice and snug. It does. Double check, everything feels snug. Check my steering, make sure it feels nice and snug. It does. All right, I'm gonna pull my reverse bucket back up. Like I said, I didn't have the key today, so I had to do something here to go ahead and do this install without the key. All right, so now we have this installed. We have full motion, no binding. Steering is also free to move back and forth. Our bottom bolt is back in place and tight. All of our hardware is Loctited, tightened down, cinched down well. The last step in this process would be to put the reverse bucket back together as it was before. So what I'll do is I'll take my strap off here, bring the camera in tight. I want to show you this bolt. See this nut right here? This is a nylock nut, and it's 10 millimeter. It's got a washer. And what we'll do is we'll pull that off. We'll put the cable, this is the reverse actuation cable. Do you see that there? Put the washer back on. Bring the camera over to the top. Might be a little easier to see it from the top side. Can you see it like that? Right here. Washer goes back on. Nylock goes back on. And I would recommend this nylock only be reused maybe once. If you reuse it more than once, like for instance right now I'm able to spin this on by hand, I'm going to put a couple of drops of Loctite on it just to be safe. Nylocks are only to be used really just once or twice before they lose their ability to hold firmly in place. So that's why I'm going to use a drop or two of this medium blue Loctite here. Blue Loctite you can get off, the red Loctite you cannot, so just bear that in mind. I'm not going to overly tighten this here, just want to make sure that it's got a couple of threads sticking out the end, which it does, and the washer's still free spinning, so now got a good install. All right, well that's the installation procedure for twin engine version for the starboard side. We'll do the same thing for the port side on a twin engine. On a single engine boat, only difference is this bottom bracket. Bottom bracket's going to use this key slided feature to slide over the bolt and cinch to the nozzle just like the top does, so that'll be the only difference. Basically the exact same procedure. So that's the installation procedure for the new thrust vector. For more information about thrust vectors in general, feel free to reach out to us at JetBoatPilot.com. You can also reach out to us through YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, most any of the media channels, obviously jetboaters.net, and the social forums that are out there. And we'd be glad to answer any questions about installation or performance or whatever you might have. So if you liked this video today, if you thought it was helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe button below. That's going to give you automatic push notifications. Anytime we put something out, you'll get an immediate notification. And also, if you'd like to subscribe to our newsletter, go to our homepage, jetboatpilot.com, scroll to the bottom, put your email address in, and hit submit. That'll put you on our newsletter, and you'll get automatic notifications anytime there's a new product drop, any kind of news that we are reporting on or whatever. Just keep you in the know on all things jet boating. So that's what we do here. That's what we're about, is jet boats in general. Be whatever brand, it doesn't matter. We're passionate about the sport and about boating. So anyway, thanks for watching. We appreciate you watching this video today. Hope it was helpful to you. Have a great day.